Now, just before we do the solo, because I'm going to do the solo probably separate, I might end up joining onto another one, but I just want to talk about the chords that are going on underneath the solo, and they are A minor, G, and F. Kind of played in as, you know. So again, it's this hand moving down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, 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 up, down, down, down. That's how you get that rhythm. Making sure you can see that my hand's moving continuously all the time, and that's the trick there, right? If you just try and do it with all down picks, the whole thing, it'll always kind of sound a little bit awkward. So that's the strumming that's kind of going on underneath the solo all of the way through. It sounds more like I'm playing full bar chords there using A minor, G, and F. But it sounds on the record he's just playing little power chords. So this is, of course, played on electric, as was actually, I think which is part D. There's also an electric guitar in there as well, I think, as an acoustic guitar. So, but this is the bit where it starts to get a bit grungy, you know. Things are starting to build up a bit. There's also this little riff thing that happens, which I'll explain now, which is happening, because that A minor, G, and F is what happens in the, you know, when we're riding down the road, that part where they're singing as well, after the solo. There's a little riff that he does, so it goes A minor, G, then there's this... kind of cool, which is on the thicker string, first fret. Use your third finger to slide up to the fifth fret from the third fret. Then the note C with the first finger, third fret, fifth string. Then third finger slides from the fifth fret to the seventh fret, still on the fifth string. Then we play the note D, fifth fret, fifth string. Little finger comes over to play 8th fret, 6th string, and then we're back to our A minor power chord. So A, G, totally rocks that thing. Good solid vibe. So all that's left is the solo, which is going to be quite fun. I like the solo in this song. It's very, very cool. So I better get my electric guitar out and turn my amp on, and then we can check out the solo. Okay, I'm back. Here we go for the Stairway to Heaven solo. Before I go through and teach it to you, I figured I should play it all of the way through, so you know what's going on. That little bit that he repeats over and over again, I always screw that up and only play it 10 times instead of 11, so I have to see how I go without backing in, without listening to the track. It's kind of going to be a bit weird, but we'll let's see if I can't get that together. So here we go. Sounds kind of quiet, but okay, here we go. 3, 4. I think I got it right, not sure. Might have been one too few on the old repeating funny lick. So, a couple of things about this solo before we get into actually kind of learning each bit by bit. It's nearly all A minor pentatonic scale. but there's one note that crops out that kind of doesn't fit in with the A minor pentatonic scale. It comes up quite a few times, and it's the note F. And if you remember the chords for this, we're going A minor, G, F. So it's only when he goes to the F chord that he puts the F note in, which is very clever, especially that first he finishes that line on the note F. So that's kind of why he's using it at that point. The next one, that note there, that note was the F, and he plays that, lo and behold, hey, over the F chord. So there's quite a few examples of this in the solo where he's using strictly A minor pentatonic scale, and then occasionally this little F note crops up when the F chord is going on in the background. It's kind of showing that he plays the changes pretty well. I mean, Jimmy Page is a legendary guitar player, like a great session guitar player, really knows what he's doing kind of guitar player, not just kind of good rock guitar player, doesn't really know what he's doing. This guy knows as well, he's like serious, proper guy. So without much further ado, let's get closer and matron, and I'll show you how to play this little ditty. Okay, so here we are for the start of the solo for Stairway to Heaven. We're starting off here. This is the 5th fret, all based around the minor pentatonic scale here. So we got this big bend first of all with the 3rd finger, 7th fret. That should be the first lick. And that is all flick-offs and hammer-ons and stuff. A bend, pick, flick, flick. They're all flick-offs and pull-offs where available. Flick-offs, I call, I call them flick-offs, but the rest of you guys call them pull-offs, and it doesn't really matter. Okay, then we got the next part. Now, as you know, I don't bend with the little finger. I don't think that's a good idea, so we're going to do a little finger swap there. Now at that point we do our first little shift. So I might just have to make this a little wider if I can. Can I make this a little wider? There we go. Can I get the 10th fret? Yeah, here we go. So this next part. So you're playing the same note. It's essentially A going to A. Using the 3rd finger, it just slides from roughly G. 8th fret. Again, they're all flick-offs. Except the last one, of course, because it's going up, so that means it must be a hammer-on. Then we shoot back down the neck to the 5th fret. We got all minor pentatonic scale again. Kind of, don't know if it's an intentional one or not, but it lifts that finger off, kind of a flick off to the open string there. Let me just play that from back down to pentatonic again. Then after that he shoots up the neck. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play that once through normal speed and then once through a little bit slower, just so you can make sure you got all of this part right. So